How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And here at 2A News Now, you're going to get your Second Amendment news straightforward and to the point with no BS added in. As you can see, I had to change the wording on my shirt. It usually says defund the ATF. And as you can see now, it says fuck the ATF. We all know for years that ATF has been out of control. And what happened to Bryan Malinowski the other day is the straw that broke the camel's back. Plain and simple, the ATF murdered Bryan Malinowski for selling guns without a license. And before some of you start in the comment section saying, well, he shot at them, of course they should shoot back at him. But it all could have been done a different way where none of that would have happened. But they just want to be heavy-handed and play war. And it doesn't matter whether they kill your dog or they kill you, and they're going to get away with it. I wanted to wait a couple of days after this happened to get as much information as possible. So let's go over what happened. The family of an Arkansas airport executive who died after he was shot in a raid by the ATF. And may I say, he was shot in the head. The raid was conducted on his Little Rock home. The family doesn't understand why agents stormed into his house instead of simply waiting to take him into custody for allegedly selling guns as an unlicensed dealer. Bryan Malinowski exchanged gunfire with the ATF on Tuesday morning. But it's not clear if he knew if it was federal agents breaking down the door of his home, or if he believed the raid was actually a home invasion. Bryan's brother Matthew said the ATF burst into his house, and they did it in a manner that was the most dangerous combination possible. The easiest way to have taken care of the situation, the most common way, would be wait until he gets into his car, pull over and arrest him. Or you wait until he comes to work, and then you arrest him there. After the ATF SWAT team breached the door, and agents whose name has not been publicly released shot Bryan Malinowski in the head, what his brother described as a high-power rifle. According to the ATF, Bryan, who is the executive director of the Little Rock Airport, was also engaged in the business of selling firearms without a federal firearms license, allegedly buying around 150 firearms over the past 3 years and selling many of them at gun shows in Arkansas. This is a federal offense under current law. But we're talking about a non-violent crime. Bryan had no criminal record whatsoever. He's not on a terrorist watch list or anything else of that sort. So why did heavily armed agents decide to raid Malinowski's home, to take him into custody, instead of waiting until he had left his home? An affidavit unsealed by a federal judge on Thursday shines some light on the allegations against Malinowski, but provides little insight into the ATF's decision to arrest him during the raid instead of taking him into custody and then searching his home. The 34-page affidavit, filed with U.S. Magistrate Judge Joe Volpe on March 6, paints a picture of a man who spent weekends traveling to gun shows and selling tables full of firearms. Some of those guns ended up in crime scenes in Arkansas, California, and Canada, although the document does not say any of those weapons were used in the commission of a violent crime. Court documents say Malinowski bought dozens of guns from FFLs over the recent years, each time affirming he was buying them for himself. His purchases from a single, federally licensed dealer in North Little Rock include multiples of the same type of gun: 24 Glock Model 45 pistols, 9 FedArm Model FR-16 pistols, 9 Beretta Model 92A pistols, and small numbers of multiple other models. He bought 142 guns from this dealer between 2019 and December 2023. Malinowski went on to sell some of those guns at gun shows and informally through the word of mouth. He allegedly offered to find specific guns for potential customers. He made some of his sales in parking lots, specifically during the evening and midnight hours. According to the affidavit, Malinowski was under surveillance at least as far back as January, and it appears there was plenty of opportunities to arrest him during or directly after one of his alleged sales. So why did the ATF wait until Tuesday morning to send a team of armed agents to his home? In a statement released by Malinowski's family on Thursday, his loved ones offered prayers to the ATF agent who was wounded in the raid, while raising serious questions about the agency's decision to go after him in his home. In part of the statement it said, "We do not understand the government's decisions, which led to the dawn raid on a private home and triggered the use of deadly force. We're obviously concerned about the allegations in the affidavit released by the government today. Even if the allegations in the affidavit are true, they do not begin to justify what happened. At worst, Bryan Malinowski a gun owner and gun enthusiast, stood accused of making private firearm sales to a person who may not have been legally entitled to purchase the guns. For now, we'll wait for all the facts to come out. Under Joe Biden's watch, the ATF has become a weaponized arm of the gun control lobby, complete with law enforcement powers. And the House Oversight Committee needs to bring Stephen Dettel back to Capitol Hill for questioning ASAP. Why did the ATF serve its search warrant on the home and Malinowski's vehicle when they knew he was at the residence? Wouldn't it have made more sense, as the family suggests, to wait until he was away from his house before executing the warrant and searching his home? Malinowski could have been taken into custody at his job, on the way to work, or even at one of the gun shows where undercover agents were watching Malinowski. And like I said earlier, because they know they can get away with it and nothing is going to happen to them if members of Congress don't end up by grilling Dettelbach about the circumstances of this raid. They also need to ask some broader questions. The ATF is currently drafting a rule that would dramatically expand who is engaged in the business of selling guns without a license, to the point that someone wouldn't even have to complete a single purchase to be labeled as an illegal gun dealer by the agency. Does the agency plan to enforce that rule with more raids like this one once it's in effect? Has the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention put pressure on the ATF to use overwhelming force when arresting individuals accused of selling guns without a federal firearms license? Why shouldn't gun owners be terrified that the ATF could break down their door and come in with guns drawn if they've offered their gun from a private collection for sale? Congress should demand Dettelbach to address these questions in a public setting. We the people, including the Malinowski family, deserve to know what the hell is going on at the ATF. And Dettelbach needs to answer for the debacle that left Malinowski dead and an ATF agent wounded, as well as the agency's proposed rule that would empower them to conduct similar raids on an untold number of gun owners around the country. Like I said at the beginning, the ATF murdered Bryan Malinowski for selling firearms without a license. And even though that is against the law, how they went about it was completely wrong. And as I also mentioned earlier, it could have been done in a different way where no one would have gotten hurt. But yet they chose the most violent way. And that's the way of the ATF. They don't care who they hurt or kill, or what animals they shoot and kill. But all they care about is getting their man. And it seems like in a lot of situations, they end up dead. And one last thing. I also said this at the starting of the video. Fuck the ATF. The shirt used to say, defund the ATF. The ATF needs to be abolished. Let me know in the comment section if you agree with me or not. And as always, I appreciate everybody's support with the channel. You guys are always crushing it by liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications. And also don't forget to leave a comment. And I invite you to come back and watch my next video.